Cadfan ap Iago was king of Gwynedd. Little is known of the history of Gwynedd from this period, and information about Cadfan and his reign is minimal. The historical person is known only from his appearance in royal genealogies, from his grant to Saint Beuno for the monastery at Clynnog Fawr, and from his inscribed gravestone. Cadfan was the son and successor of King Iago ap Beli, and is listed in the royal genealogies of the Harleian genealogies and in Jesus College Ms. 20. Cadfan came to the throne near the time of the Battle of Chester in 616, in which the Northumbrians under Ethelfrith decisively defeated the neighbouring Welsh kingdom of Powys and then massacred the monks of Bangor is co-ed. However, there is no evidence that Gwynedd had any part in the battle, so Cadfan's accession at the time appears to be no more than coincidence. Cadfan's gravestone is at Cadwallad on Anglesey, a short distance from the ancient lees of the kings of Gwynedd, and reputed to be the royal burial ground. The inscription refers to him as Sapientissimus, and as this term is historically used for ecclesiastics, it suggests that at some point, Cadfan had resigned as king to live out his remaining years as an ecclesiast. Cadfan was succeeded as king by his son, Cadwallad ap Cadfan. Saint Beuno and the monastery at Clynnog Fawr are often cited in conjunction with Cadfan. An 1828 article by P. B. Williams in the Simradorian cites a manuscript stating that a local prince named Gwynedd gave Clynnog Fawr to God and Saint Beuno, who was then abbot at the monastery at Clynnog, and that the donation was free from taxes and obligations forever. It goes on to say that Beuno founded a convent at Clynnog in 616, and that Cadfan was Beuno's great patron, promising him extensive lands. The promise was carried out by Cadfan's son, King Cadwallad, and that Cadwallad was given a golden scepter worth 60 cows as a token of acknowledgement. A consistent version is given in W. J. Rees' 1853 Lives of the Cambro-British Saints. There are minor variations of these accounts, sometimes with the details rearranged, such as in Rees' 1836 essay on the Welsh saints, where he says that Cadfan was given the golden scepter by Beuno. Geoffrey of Monmouth. The largely fictional stories of ancient Britain written by Geoffrey of Monmouth use the names of many historical personages as characters, and the use of these names is a literary convenience made in order to advance the plot of Geoffrey's stories. One of these stories uses the names of Cadfan and other contemporary people, telling of how a certain Edwin spent his exiled youth at the court of King Cadfan, growing up alongside Cadfan's son, the future King Cadwallad. There is no historical basis for this story, as is readily acknowledged in the preface of works on the subject. Nevertheless, a traditional story arose blending Geoffrey's fiction with known history, implying that the future King Edwin of Northumbria had actually spent his youth at the court of King Cadfan, growing up alongside Cadfan's son, the future King Cadwallad. In point of fact, Cadwallad and Edwin were enemies with no known youthful connections. King Edwin invaded Gwynedd and drove King Cadwallad into exile, and it would be Cadwallad, in alliance with Penda of Mercia, who would ultimately defeat and kill Edwin in 633 at the Battle of Hatfield Chase. The story that they had spent an idyllic youth together may have had a romantic appeal. What is known from history is that in 588 King Iago of Deira died, and Ethelfrith of Bernicia took the opportunity to invade and conquer Deira, driving Iago's 3-year-old infant son, the future Edwin of Northumbria, into exile. Edwin would eventually ally himself with Radwald of East Anglia in 616, defeating and killing Ethelfrith and becoming one of Northumbria's most successful kings. Edwin's life in exile is unknown, and there is no historical basis for placing him at the court of King Cadfan. Citations